Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Weekly Spark. Yes, that would be my dog, Avalon, chiming in the background. We're going to see if we can do this with her hanging out in the studio with me. For this month, barring last week's video, which was about my travel journal, still a work in progress, by the way, we're working with the Celtic design of the Trinity knot or the Triquetra, and it is a three-lobed knotwork design. So I thought if we're going to work with this, not everybody has a bunch of stencils or a lovely book that you can Xerox copyright-free images from, how to draw one of these. So we're going to work with the simple one, not the one that also has the circle going through and dividing it. But when you get the basics of this down, excuse me, if you're into it, if you like drawing this kind of design, then you could definitely work the circle in. So I've found quite a few YouTube videos on ways to draw this, and I'm going to show you a few, and then I will put some links in the comments of this video below. One of the first ways is within a triangle. And I think this might be great for beginners because it gives you the structure that you know you want your piece to end up resembling. And what I have here, obviously, if I were doing this on something I was going to use in my art journal or in my work, I would have drawn this in pencil so that I could erase it. But for ease of visualization on the video, it's in red. It is an equilateral triangle, 5 inches, 3 sides, 5 inches just because that's the paper that fit, with a little X, little cross in the center. Okay. And so what I'm going to be doing is drawing an arch from corner to corner, from, end to end of each leg. Making sure that it goes over that center point. And so you see you've got the basics of the design right there. Now there are a couple ways that you can double this. If you're drawing this in something, you can double it and shade it in if you want. And yes, I'm extending a little bit past the triangle. But again, if I were drawing this as a design, that would be erasable. That would be something that I could clean up. Now, that's the simplest form of the design. If you want to actually make it be knotwork and have it overlap, then we're going to have to do things a little bit differently where the paths cross. So let's move on to a different method, and I'll show you how to make it cross now that we've got the basic shape under our belt. So here I just have 3 dots instead of the whole triangle. If you So if you can see here, this is a very tight intersection. Okay. I want to think about this. This one's a little squished on this side. Let's spread that out a little bit. When you're doubling up a design, there are different ways you can do it. If it makes more sense to imagine, let's do this in regular pencil. You want to come around the line you've drawn and encase it, make a sandwich out of it. You can totally do that. This one I just made thicker by drawing it in. This one I'm going to go ahead and kind of thicken up by outlining it. Okay. Now, this inside section I haven't touched yet. All right, so I want to think about this path as a road. I'm on this road here. This goes over. That means that the next time it crosses the street, I hope that was right, it goes under. So here it's going to go over. Here it goes under, here it goes over, under, over. So now I am complete. Just alternating. Stick on one part of the path as it winds around and just do that over, under, alternating system. Okay. So this can be filled in, this can be done. So you can see that a bit more clearly. All right. I kind of like this, gives me a little more freedom. The triangle, if that makes more sense to you, to your brain, to your eyes, then that's a great way to do it. Again, this was pretty simple and pretty messy for the demo, but done in regular pencil, any of these could be cleaned up, could be neatened up. Okay. Now, what I wanted to do is to cut a stencil. So what I want to try and do is I want to try and do a stencil. And that's going to be a little bit different in my approach because this is one continuous piece. If I cut this entire shape out, I'm left with just a hole in the paper because nothing would be attaching these center negative spaces. So trying a different approach, not sure if this is going to work because it calls for a compass and I have a really loosey-goosey cheap plastic compass. So this method I'm trying on some heavy mixed media paper. It does start with a horizon line and I am drawing things pretty dark so that you can see them. I'm working on this heavy mixed media paper because it'll be a good heavy paper for the stencil should I get this right and have something that I can cut out. So first things first, I've picked an arbitrary size. Sure. And I'm pinning this down on that horizon line. Trying very hard to draw a circle without it moving. All right, kind of, sort of. It got a little wiggly down there. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the spot on the horizon line where the circle intersects. That's where circle number 2 is going to go. Okay. So circle number 3 starts at this point at the top where the 2 circles overlap. We're going to do this anyway, as we'll call it practice. Okay, you can see this nice triskel here in the center. The next thing is to shorten my compass, and going back to my first point, this next line drawing is the thickness of my ribbon or my path of the triskel. I'm going to repeat that. Okay, now we have it. It's hard to see. So we're going to do this in 2 colors. Okay, first off, let me show you where the triskel is. See it there? So all this circle, doesn't matter that I ran out of space, that horizon line, all of that would get erased. But here's where we're going to change things up. I'm not going to draw my overs and my unders because I'm going to be cutting this out. So I'm going to treat this now in blue, take it apart into its, well, hang on, Jenny, you have to draw them so you know where to cut. So there's an over, under, over, under. So I'm stopping these from touching because this sliver of paper right here is what's going to hold my stencil together. you can see here really quickly, is going to be cut out. These two bridges are going to stay attached. So then this piece comes out, this piece comes out, and my red bridges create the look of the overlays and hold my stencil together. Okay. So let's pause here for the barking dog. And I'm going to come back with a cutting mat underneath and a sharp X-Acto knife blade so I can get some clean cuts. We'll cut this out and see how this goes. Okay, let's make these cuts and see if we get a stencil that holds together and works. Yes, so far so good. All right, let's test that real quick. Let's just test it with marker. Sure. Ta-da! Worked pretty well. There are some, I can see some spots where they're a bit thicker, a little bit thinner. That's okay. I can trim up the stencil a little bit if I want. That doesn't really bother me. It would also be kind of fun Now this is kind of opposite. If I had done this, stenciled it in a lighter color and then filled in those missing spots in a darker color, it would have read a little bit more like shadowing as the design weaves together. But all in all, I'm happy with the stencil and with the possibilities that this brings up. So I think, oh yeah, that looks better. That looks just better already. That's just kind of nice. I think that next week, stay tuned and I will use this stencil in a spread in my art journal. And like I said, you know, there are ways that you can do, too small, do this with, I'll draw it on here so you can see it. You can also do the Triskel with the circle. And if you're going to do that, then you follow this path over, so it would have to go under here. So that would have to go over here. So that goes under, then it would go over this one. Under this one. And it will also follow through with this whole, let's see. So you can add that circle a little more easily once you have the Triskel itself drawn. So for now, as always, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel or like the video if you like the video. But stay tuned next week for the next episode of Weekly Spark, where we're going to take this Triskel design and actually put it into a page. So we've got 4 designs, 4 weeks this month using this design. So first, number 1, giving us some tools to work with, the basics of drawing it, and number 2, we'll put that into good use. So for now, thank you for tuning in. Have a great week, and I will see you next Wednesday for the next episode of Weekly Spark.